Hi, my name is Alli Koch, aka Heinika. Welcome to my channel, and it's time for this beloved by all video pages, or completed pages of the month. And this time it's month of March 2025. And without further ado, let's get cracking. I didn't think I had particularly productive, if that's a correct word for something that should be a hobby, think about stress relief, coloring wise in March. But I have a fair big pile of stuff, so I guess I did quite a bit. It's just I didn't realize how many pages, but I kind of feel that I didn't have any pages that stood out or that I was like super happy with, although a couple of them are pretty all right. So if you hear my dog shouting in the background, I have tried several times. She seems to be worked up about something this evening, so you will hear her. The first one we're looking at is Any Day. This is my project book. I will try to eventually finish it, although there are a couple of pages that I'm not that keen of, but since I'll do most of it, I'll try to do all of it. And the page in March was this one. It's a very simple one. There's water-based marker on the tree, the rest of it is based on alcohol markers, and then all the shading is done with Spectrum Noir color blend pencils. I got their 120 set. They had kind of like clearance sale on the website some time ago, and I got that 120 set for really low price. It was kind of a Brutphoner level price, and for that one I think they work really nice on top of alcohol markers. I don't really enjoy them on their own usually much, although I can show you from this month something that actually kind of is proving me wrong. Anyways, it came out all right. It's not one of my best Any Day pages, but I've done worse. The next book is Pull the Bull. Fur Balls, I think, if I'm correct, is the translation. It's by Diane Dufour. It's one of my favorite books. I have worked here a lot, as you can see. It's full of whips and completed pages. And I did 2 pages this month. First of them was this one, kind of like Sunday morning in the bed. And I think it came out really cute. I based it with my new Marie's watercolors. Let me see if they're still there. Not at the moment. I actually put them away onto the shelf. But yeah, they're kind of a Chinese style watercolors. But if you use them pinned out, you can totally base the pages with them. If you go very thick, the finish will become shiny and you can't get pencils on the top. But if you use them kind of like a wash, kind of very diluted, then they're perfectly all right. I do not remember what pencils I used here, to be honest. But yeah, there's pencils on top of as well, and then there's of course gel pens to kind of do the patterns. And I think the pajama pants are actually done with pencils. And possibly some fine liner as well here and there, because it's fairly small patterns. Here's me. I don't want to throw them away, those page holders, because they will do several times. And then the second page is this one, a little songbird who I kind of did not look up any birds. I just grabbed pencils as they came out from the pencil case, essentially. It's also, this one is now based with various watercolors. What happened here at first is that I tried to do the sky with a very wet wash at first, and it went really stripy and did not sit at all well on the paper. So it was sitting for a while, and I came back to it this month and I gave another wash over, and I still couldn't get the stripes out. So I did with Neocolor 1, I did with white Neocolor, sorry, not Neocolor 1, Neocolor 2, white Neocolor 2. I did kind of like scribbles of the clouds in the sky, and then I diluted them or kind of washed them out with water brush, and then I kept adding white Neocolor from the tip of the crayon to kind of blend it out and, you know, kind of add layers of white. And now it looks pretty nice, the sky. I think there's kind of a like hint to the clouds in the background. And the pencils, oh gosh, do I remember? I think they might have been luminance. I did luminance pencils here. I am trying to kind of befriend my luminance a bit more. I have them. They are good in certain situations, but they have never become my favorite. It's like a lot of people are raving about them, and, you know, the best pencils ever. And I get along much better with light fasts and even polychromos and, of course, you know, Prisma colors and even some, you know, kind of a cheap budget pencils than luminances. So I'm kind of trying to kind of work with them more to see if I'm doing something wrong, or, you know, is it just me? It probably is just me. Because they are very good. It's just their texture somehow doesn't sit well with me. So that's it. Then this is the coloring planner that I got, thinking I'm going to become super organized. No, I was never going to be super organized. I just wanted a place to kind of conveniently write down the pages that I'm doing and also body colors. And I did the little portrait. Rada Prince, I think, is the author of the portrait for March. And I did that portrait with watercolor. I did it with alcohol markers and pencils. And did I write down by any chance what pencils I used here? I might have. It's Winsor & Newton pencils. So yeah, something I don't use very often, but I think they're very good pencils. They're on the harder side. There's not too many of them. I think it's only 48 or 50 is the total palette, but they have a good color selection, and they, as I said, are on harder side and work really nice on kind of a textured Amazon paper like this. Then I did a page in this book, Sonia Cavallini, Jardin and Fleur. This is pretend French. I haven't got a clue how to actually pronounce it, but I did my best, I guess. I really like the art in this book. It's kind of a folky and fun and interesting, and I can see myself using different watercolors. The paper is lovely as well. It takes watercolors and water-based media like a champ. And, you know, whatever you want to throw at it, it pretty much takes it. And I can see myself playing in this book with different media quite a bit, you know, when I feel like it again. Where is the page I did? Oh, here, the shop front. I think I called the lilac shop front. I'm not 100% happy with what I did. It's all right. Like, there's nothing hugely wrong, but I wish I would have done a bit more contrast, you know, kind of some things a bit darker, some things a bit lighter. It feels a bit mid-tone bonanza for me. So, you know, next time I'll be wiser if I work on it and kind of maybe go more high contrast. Like, it's not hopeless or desperate, but yeah, I wish I had done those pots, some of them kind of darker, and, you know, they're kind of all very samey. But the book is lovely. It even feels lovely. It's kind of lovely French flaps, you know, the flaps like this, and the paper is gorgeous, and you have those lovely samples that you can, or, you know, you can follow or not follow. Totally up to you. They don't bother me. I know that quite a few of us don't like the samples on the side because they feel almost obligated to follow them. But it doesn't bother me at all. Like, you know, sometimes I feel like following the samples, sometimes not, and that's okay too. This is the page I made as when we talked about how to base the pages in coloring books with acrylic, diluted acrylic paint or acrylic wash, not gouache, because I know that many people heard gouache. It's acrylic paint, matte acrylic paint that is diluted. And it's great for basing images in the books that either have bad paper or the paper doesn't like water, you know, or it's double-sided paper that doesn't like water, so you just want to base with something. This is, you know, kind of a perfect option. And then I did a kind of a coloring process, kind of detailed one for her face and also the background. And the face is done with Prismacolor pencils. Pretty much, you know, full thing is done with Prismacolor pencils. The background is acrylic gouache. Now, that is acrylic gouache. 5 colors, 3 greens, black and white, and then kind of everything blended together. And then I splattered some Coliro vibrant metallic watercolors on top, 3 colors. There's yellow, orange, and green. And I think it came out lovely. Bit of a fun page. You know, these are pretty simple and kind of a great stress relief pages. You know, they don't take very long and they're fun, they're different. It's kind of a very relaxing book. So yeah, highly recommend this book if you don't have it already. It's Beauties and Beasties by Camilla Derrico, but pretty much any of her books is going to be just as good. It's like, you don't need all of them, but some of them are nice to have in your stash of books. This one now is Easy Fantasy by Joshua Dunbar. This is a newbie or new book for me because I saw some images online. I think Jackie Conrad was coloring it in a lot, and some other people as well. And I was looking at those images and they were so fun. And I couldn't kind of keep myself from getting it. I was getting some stuff anyway from Amazon Japan, and this one hopped into my basket all on its own. I wish only that it was the small format, because, you know, the images are pretty kind of, especially images like this, which in A4 format would be pain to color. Like, I can't really see myself doing that. It feels kind of wasteful almost. But, you know, these ones, yeah, I can do. But even these would be easier and kind of, I think, more fun and more relaxing if they were kind of in a small mini format. But I did 2 pages here. First one was the Poison Ivy. Beautiful, lush poison ivy. And she's done with alcohol markers and pencils on top. Do I know what pencils? I have my very wise book here where I did write some stuff down. Look, it is useful. So can I actually find things here? That's color blend pencils. See? I found out something. Yeah, color blend pencils, and then everything is outlined. For some reason on Joshua Dunbar's images, I tend to outline the whole thing with glitter or metallic gel pens. I think they look nice and cool and fun with it. Kind of it adds. I don't know if it's visible if I move it like that, but I hope it is. Yeah, that one came out lovely. And then the second page I did here is this one. And I call it Flynn because it reminds me Flynn from, was it Flynn? Okay, I might be mixing names up, but the guy from Tangled. Okay, well, you know what I mean. And the smirk. So that one is also based with alcohol markers and shaded with pencils. And once again, don't remember what pencils they were, but I will find out because I have it written down. And this one is Marie's pencils. Yeah, Marie's pencils, which are very well known and fairly cheap Chinese brand of pencils. that I think are pretty good. So if you want me to have a kind of review or show in more detail some pencil set or book that I'm talking about, let me know and I can always do that for you. Because that wouldn't be an issue at all. Then this book was another one that kind of came to me because people were asking for a tutorial. And it was this Viking page, the Raids, I think is the name of the page. And basically people wanted to know how I did this background. There was another image here at the back. She's called Sigrid the Proud. And I had in my completed pages video said that it's, you know, on back acrylic wash, a diluted back matte acrylic paint, and then Prismacolors on top, and that's how I do this stone carving effect. And quite a lot of people were asking me how did I do that, so I did a tutorial with that. It's also in my video library if you want to check it out, if you're interested. So I showed how to do the stone carving background, which I think came out pretty well. And then since I had done the background, it only made sense to do the Viking as well. Since everything was finished and I had already put quite a lot of work into this background, so I actually really enjoyed how the shading came out. The Viking, he looks pretty fierce and murderous, as you do if you're a raiding Viking. You know, I didn't want him pretty. I wanted him harsh and angry and yeah, dangerous. The tattoos and the scars, there were very, very strong black lines. I can maybe I can see, you know, how black the line is. So can I find any other kind of a portrait that would give you a good idea, you know, how black like these are also tattoo lines and they're very black, as you can see. And I didn't really want them black like that. So what I did, I took white pit brush pen. It's that one. Faber-Castell pit white brush pen. If you open it like that, there's a brush tip. And then it's not very opaque. It's kind of a white haze type of a finish. So I covered the lines on the scars and wounds and the tattoos on this white pit pen. And then after the pit pen was done, after it was dry, I was able to, they don't totally get lost, but you're able to go over them with kind of a dark colored pencil. So I did the inside of the scar with, I did the shading first. Then I put color, water-based marker, Stadler water-based marker. I found kind of correct color that I wanted. I put one kind of a wash of the color on it because they're slightly transparent. So kind of the shading still shows through. And then I took colored pencil, kind of dark blue, kind of indigo-ish, and I went over the lines, and now the black of the lines was gone. So this is how I did the tattoos. And the same thing with the wounds. I went over the lines with dark red pencil after I had done, you know, the inside and the rest of the shading, and, you know, the black was once again gone. So this is how I got rid of the black. Anyway, I'm very happy with this page. I enjoyed shading because I really like shading an interesting face or, you know, kind of interesting shadows. And these were definitely interesting to work in. Okay. The piles are getting higher on both sides of me here. All right, so this book is also one of the kind of my fairly late finds. John Bauer's Fantasy Forest. Absolutely adore his art. He's an illustrator of Scandinavian folk tales and fairy tales. from the beginning of 20th century. And his work is kind of a bit dark and moody, although some of his work is kind of more vibrant as well. But the reason it's so dark and moody in many parts is because of the printing restrictions at the time. You know, he was restricted by the colors that, you know, the presses were able to use in the illustrations. So that's why there's a lot of kind of ochres and browns, and, you know, I think blue was one of the colors that also, you know, they could. And then as the printing got a bit more sophisticated, his later images have more color. But here I was always hoping to, because his work is very much like, he used mainly watercolor and gouache, kind of, you know, illustrators' main tools. And I wanted to work with watercolors in this book as well, but I wasn't sure because it's double-sided. So I did the last page in the book, so that, you know, if I ruin everything, then okay, it's just at the back, and, you know, not a big bother, not in the middle of the book. I want to, you know, leak things all over the place. And what I discovered actually is that this paper takes water really well, because this page is done now with mainly with watercolor, and I think there's like 5 or possibly even 6 layers of watercolor. And the first layer is, I absolutely soaked the paper, like it was soaking wet, and I put the first washes down very wet. And look at the back. Nothing went through, absolutely nothing. It's just amazing. Really like how it came out. Like, I tried to follow, not exactly how he did that image, but kind of in spirit, you know, kind of keep to the same style, and I think it came out pretty similar. I don't want to do all the images like that, you know, exactly like he did, but I was kind of trying my hand if I can follow his style. And I think, you know, it is possible. But then I tried here on this page, just out of curiosity, if I put water-based markers down and then kind of dilute them with water, you know, from the brush, what happens. And what happens is this. It went totally through. So yeah, you can work with proper watercolor here. Kind of, you know, pigment paste proper watercolor here in pretty wet washes, but you can't really use dye-based materials without them going through. So just for your knowledge, if you happen to have that book, or if you're not into that. This one is now the Reihan Widachi. Oh my god, I'm saying it probably awfully. And it's shiny because I put the cover onto it. The cover was a bit flimsy, so I stuck a cover, plastic cover onto it. And this book, I really like her art style. I wish there were some people in this book. I kind of like, not in every image even, but there are quite a lot of images that don't have any creatures or you know, animals or people in them at all, and I kind of miss that a bit, although, you know, they're lovely too. So I tried just kind of a quick watercolor test here, and it looked like I was able to work watercolor here. And then I went once again to the last page, and let's be honest, it didn't really work out that well. It was all right. I based it with watercolor. And I realized that, yes, you can somewhat use watercolor, but it doesn't really move here very well. The paper is fairly thin and doesn't have much sizing. And it kind of gets, you know, with water, it kind of gets, how do I say, soft, or, yeah, weird. Texture gets a bit weird. So after I had done the base with water, I was actually kind of struggling. Usually pencils go down on watercolor extra well. Here I was actually struggling to get the pencils on well. You know, I was able to kind of mostly save things, but yeah, I think next time I will do something else, either with alcohol markers or just pure pencil work, as I was enjoying the water process. I did a kind of a textured background, you know, everywhere, and but I wasn't enjoying afterwards the pencils process. And you can see how hard, I don't know if you can see how hard I had to press to get any pencil down. Like, paper is pretty much, you know, some spots where I had to blend, and you can see how hard I had to blend. But I tried then, you know, how the pencils would work here, and it seems that this paper is absolutely stunning for pencils. Like, I tried Spectrum Noir pencils here on these two little vine things or leaves. I was just testing in a couple of combinations for myself out of curiosity how they would work. And those pencils can be a challenge because they're very waxy and almost slippery, and they have fairly smooth texture, but you can't usually put many layers down. And on this paper they worked really nice. I don't know if you can see how beautiful and vibrant and what a gorgeous blend they achieved here. So I think next time when I work in this book, I will kind of utilize pencils much more. Now, this book, which is one of my new books, and I wanted to kind of work in it a little bit, kind of try it out. Paper, of course, is lovely. The book itself is absolutely gorgeous. So I first tried here, and this was I think my first test of Marie's watercolor. The Chinese watercolors I got from TEMU, and I did this kind of a textured, very light and airy finish. There's no pencils here. The only things that are here is yeah, watercolor and then some gel pens, you know, to kind of take out the black here and create this kind of a flying magic in the air. And also at the edge of her petticoat, I think there's some yellow there as well. It's a gel pen from what I remember. And then I initially thought, oh, I'll do the next page, I'll do the Puss in Boots. But then I think March, the fairy tale of the month in somebody's challenge was Snow White. So I said, oh, why not? I'll do Snow White instead. And once again, I did the background now, and you know, all the base I did with watercolors. This one is a 12 set of watercolors. It's Prima marketing watercolors called Odyssey. That I actually recommend that set, you know, if you want to have a 12 set with nice colors that you can still, you know, there are interesting colors, but you can still mix them and get, you know, different tones. Then I think this is a very good set to get. So yeah, the base was done with watercolors, and then I went with pencils on top. If I remember correctly, there were Pablo pencils here on top. And then I used quite a bit of kind of acrylic brush markers to take out the black lines and yeah, basically, you know, add some effects. For example, I call this image Snow White and Two Aliens because I don't know if you can see, there's two little, I think they're supposed to be like fairies or something on the tree trunk here, but I decided nope, they're aliens, so I colored them green and made them glow. And the glow is done with brush tipped acrylic marker. I put a little bit down and then blended it out with the water brush right away, and I got this beautiful glow, which is kind of, I think, a really good way to get a glow. And yeah, I think it worked out pretty well. So it's all right. Oh, and the background is Simtap marker, Artex Simtap marker. I think it might have been this color, which is J381. And those are, they have brush tips, but they have this valve at the top that you can press so it would release more paint, so you get really nice thick opaque coverage. But it still looks better if you do 2 coats instead of 1. But you know, you can get away with one coat, but it looks better if you do 2 coats. And here I've done, I'm pretty sure I did 2 coats. So it's nice and even, and you know, there's nothing, no kind of brush strokes showing through. So yeah, it's a simple one. Nothing very special. I actually wanted to film the basing with watercolor, and I did in my head film it, but I forgot to switch the camera on as I was filming, so that didn't work out very well for me at all. Okay, so not too much left now. This one was just kind of a relaxer page. Here it is. I call it the helmet. The background was when I was showing how to do the kind of a background effects, or kind of a varied color effects with water-based markers and sponge. Then I used this page to demonstrate, you know, some effects here, you know, with some sponge work. And then, you know, all the background, those kind of variations here are water-based markers and sponge. And then I used alcohol marker here to kind of put dark base into those stripes, and then I painted over with metallic paints. And the helmet itself is done with there's mostly acrylic brush markers, and then quite a lot of I think those were glitter gel pens, and then some kind of a glittery watercolor paint as well in the eyes and in the mushrooms, which looks really cool. So yeah, these are lovely, and it came out fun. You know, it's a fun book, very freeing. You know, do whatever you want with the image. And there's Hello Country by Joshua Dunbar. And I did here, what did I do here? Oh yeah, I did a tutorial how to work real brush pens in the coloring books. So it was 2 videos. One was how to base everything and do kind of a basic blending with real brush pens, and then afterwards how to kind of add extra shading and kind of add detailing, you know, how I outline things, and you know, how I add color variations and texture into the trees and stuff like this. So yeah, if you want to check that out, that's in my video library if you want more detail, because there's, you know, no point talking very long about this one here. There's the whole process is already online. This book is another one, is kind of a relaxer books, which, you know, kind of a quick page or kind of a not very stressful page. I like the line art of this artist. It's by Alli Koch, and the book's name is Bloom. It's a beautiful book, the holographic. I find the cover very stylish. It's really pretty, and it has some pages inside which, like, the background is literally velvet. It's kind of a velvety finish. Not many of them, a couple of them are like this, and they're really cool. And I like the line art. That's kind of a very loose and elegant and beautiful line art. And this one is one of the old pages. This is only acrylic markers and gel pens, acrylic brush markers and gel pens. All the blending and everything is done with them. And yeah, it's a beautiful book. Very good relaxer book, I find. And this one is also, this is ink background and then acrylic markers and gel pens, as you do. But the page I did this month was this one. And yeah, I need to now find an angle so it wouldn't glare. I did the background with super golden markers, they're called, yeah. They're really nice metallic ink, and these ones have the big tip. I think it's 3mm tip, so they're great for doing kind of a bigger areas like this. And then there's loads of different gel pens involved, but I mainly did it to test, kind of a try out, because this book has a good paper also, and it takes watercolor really well. As you can see, you know, nothing is going through, you know, things, watercolor is moving granulation is showing on this paper. So I got a little sample set of Holbein granulating watercolors and from AliExpress, and I was trying out different colors here, kind of, you know, testing for myself, and I really liked them. And then I added not even a shading, but, you know, tiny bit of interest and texture with I think they were Pablo pencils, you know, kind of in some areas of the flowers and leaves. But I didn't, you know, do any, you know, proper shading or, you know, anything like that at all. I just, you know, added some extra oomph. And I think it looks nice. It looks fun. And it was fun to do. That was the main thing. And then this book, Dark Beauty, Mystic and Fantasy by Crook, one of my favorite. I don't think it's an artist name, I think it's a publisher, Crook. And this one is one of my, no, it is one of my favorite publishers and kind of favorite books. I love the portraits. They are quirky and interesting, and, you know, faces have character. And this month I did this one, and it's done with oil pastels, Pentel Oil Pastels. Let me see if I have them near here. That's the Pentel Oil Pastels. They are a set of 50, and they are way smaller than most of the other ones. They are also harder, so you can control them in that sort of a, you know, kind of a straight to the page, more detailed work much better. So I don't know if I, like, this is, you know, they're way smaller than the other ones, you know, most of the regular ones. And I was just testing, you know, if I could possibly, you know, because they are so small, can I do a portrait with them? Could just take them and use them pretty much like a pencil, you know, blend them out with each other, not use any mediums or anything, just, you know, use them pretty much as a pencil. And yes, you can. It's a challenge, but you can. There is, like, the face wasn't that bad. Hair could have come out better, but it's all right. The hands were more of a challenge, but I managed to do them still. And then the spines, I probably would not have been able to do very easily with the pure oil pastels, so I pulled out acrylic markers, brush markers, and I did the spines with acrylic brush markers, and then I used acrylic metallic paint to do the nails and those strands, you know, here, these ones as well that are coming out of her brain. And then I put glossy accents onto the nails, so it would look extra lush, and some gold onto it as well. So yeah, it kind of came out pretty cool. I only later realized that she's squinting quite a bit, but, you know, with considering the fact that she has something serious going on with her brain there, squinting is probably allowed. And then at the moment I'm working on an image here that I'm not sure if I'm going to carry on with it or just abandon it. I put some really light wash of Holbein watercolor onto it, and then I'm working the kind of the skin and the face now, and I don't really like how it's going. I wish I would have gone darker with the base, but I'll see. Maybe I'll finish it, maybe, you know, I leave it for a while, because at the moment it's not going well. And there's only two more things. One of them is this Itsy Bitsy book. This is called Call Me Jane. It's by Jackie Oakley, whose art I really like. Bridgerton coloring book is also, the art there is done by her. And it's really nice paper. fantastic paper. Very smooth, but thick, and takes water really well, takes pencils well, you know, really nice to work with. I'm not 100% sure who that is, but it doesn't really matter. I did the portrait bit with luminance, this one, and then the background and everything around here I did with, let me see if I have them handy, this set of gel pens. I wanted to kind of try them out, and this book is small enough to kind of do the whole thing with gel pens, and these are so juicy and go down so smoothly that you actually can do it. So I did the whole thing with gel pens. I added a little bit of gold gel pen here in some areas, which is also by Languo, but yeah. And then I think there's tiny bit of kind of like a blue glitter gel pen there as well, but that's only tiny bit. So yeah, I pretty much used Languo gel pens. But the mistake I made here, I actually kind of like the effect. It looks kind of interesting. But what mistake I made was that I put the background and the frame in first and then did the portrait. And I would suggest that you do the pencil work first if you do something like that, and then put the gel pens around, because every time you touch them, you know, you get those marks. And I've gone over those stripes so many times in different areas to get rid of those marks, and every time I open it or touch it, I get another mark here. So yeah, put that in last, and then put some sort of a protector. Probably I should put something, you know, on it to protect that finish. But it's fun. It was another experience. And this is now my last page. This is actually my only print from this month. I don't usually do prints very much, but I do them occasionally. I do prefer to work in the book. And this one is from Coloring Heaven, Fantasy Romance edition, and the author is Fabiana Tre. And I printed it onto, I think it's Canson mixed media paper. I think it's like something like 160 GSM or something like this. And my only problem is that my printer isn't particularly great, so as I work on it, the line art and the flakes off. I don't know, you can kind of see it here in the knuckles, you know, how it's been flaking off. So I pretty much had to kind of do most of the line art, go over it with gel pens, because it looked awful, kind of, you know, bits and pieces are falling off. It was based with several layers of watercolor. I'd say about 4 or 5. I applied them in washes, you know, first overall wash and then kind of by areas, with glazes. And then I went over it with pencils, and then with gel pens to some extent. Took me quite a while. It was, you know, detailed and, you know, multimedia and challenging page, but I think it came out very nice. Well, that's it. That's all my pages for March. Hope there was something of interest there. I hope you had good time. Thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe so YouTube can notify you when new video is out. And have a good evening or morning or afternoon, whatever the time is in your corner of the world. And bye-bye.